good morning, and welcome to the original, that's right, that's me, the Loretta Brown Show. Aha! Yeah, you see what mood I'm in. Radio to open the heart, heal the soul, and awaken the consciousness during the year of the Fire Rooster. Yeah, that's right.
I would think the fire rooster kind of explains itself. It's just a rooster. You wouldn't need the fire. I mean, you've never had a cold rooster, like a rooster that didn't have them. I mean, that's me, right? Am I right?
Thinking about the lazy rooster going, no, I'm not going out.
I don't think there's a such thing. I mean, I've never really seen a lazy
I'm not crowing this morning. Forget it. I think I'll just eat popcorn.
Fire rooster.
Yeah, the fire rooster. Yeah. My Chinese astrologers tried to explain this to me. There's the wood, metal, fire, air, and they all have kind of different characteristics. But the other thing with this is it's the yin rooster, which is feminine energy. So I keep trying to figure this out, like the fire female rooster. No, don't go there. But anyway, I can't figure it out, Benny.
Like a flaming hen or something?
Yeah, the flaming hen.
Sounds like a bar.
I decided.
Yeah, we're just going to go hang out with the flaming hen.
Going to the flaming hen. My guides kind of explained it to me, and they said, just think of the phoenix rising from its ashes, Loretta. And so it's that kind of energy. Okay. So pretty dramatic stuff going on in the world today. We won't get into that.
And we'll see you next week at the flaming hen.
Yeah, that's right. Or maybe this evening.
Drink specials all around.
Yeah, that's right. If you're out there driving, be careful. It is very foggy in Seattle.
Did you say fog?
I did say fog.
Foghorn. I was able to
Thank
find
you.
one.
And I'm going to do a big shout out just a little bit. Hi, Meg Filer, who is waving at me from the other building. She texted and said, I'm waving at you. So thank you so much. I did want you give you recognition for that. I appreciate and am so grateful to all my listeners. I am a listener-supported show through Patreon, and thank you to all of you that contribute to us being on live radio and bringing you some of the most amazing people on the planet, which I have another one today. You're going to just love her. And before I bring her on, I am the owner of Reiki Oasis, located right here in the greater Seattle area. We are entering our 22nd year in business, and there are always lots of great things happening at Reiki Oasis. You can find out more about that, of course, at ReikiOasis.com/calendar. This Sunday is Reiki Sharing Circle at 11:30 in the morning. And after that, we're going to be doing vision boards, meditation and vision boards. People have asked me for it, and so we're going to take a couple of hours and do that. If you want to come, everything is provided, but space is limited, and you will need to sign up for everything at schedule.ReikiOasis.com. And then on Saturday, I think it's the 18th of March, is the Temple of the Divine Feminine. And this class is by application and invitation only. And if you're interested in that class, send an email to me, Loretta Brown, at info@ReikiOasis.com, because we're doing really, really great work in there and very needed work on the healing of ourselves as women. And what does it mean to be a woman in today's world, especially with the balancing of energies that we see going on out there. So check in, and lots of more good workshops and good things coming on. But like I said, you can check the calendar for that. And you can also sign up and get on the newsletter, which comes out maybe once a month, because currently I do all of that. And you could join us on Facebook, facebook.com/Reiki Oasis. And don't forget to join us at facebook.com/The Loretta Brown Show. And reminding everybody, all the shows are archived. So lots of little things going on. And so I just want to ask you, my dear listeners, how has your week been? There's been lots of weather here in Seattle, from snow to rain to fog to even a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of wind. And it is March. And I hope we are, as they say, marching forward in life. We're coming up with the spring equinox in a couple of weeks. And this is a very energetic month. Venus has gone retrograde. And I took the following information from moonkissed.com, which says for 40 days March 4th through April 15th, 2017, Venus will move retrograde in the degrees of 13 degrees Aries and 27 degrees Pisces. So Venus is the cosmic darling. She is the goddess of love, beauty, pleasure, and all that we enjoy. And with Venus, life is good. We find money under our pillow. Our creative achievements win accolades and praise. Our friends and lovers shower us with affection, and we feel confident and look good. So what happens when Venus goes retrograde? Now, don't get worried, because we might be tempted to imagine lovers being jilted at the altar, or abject poverty, or beauty treatments gone bad. And while those are not impossible, a more typical expression of Venus retrograde events feel more like an adjustment and reorientation around what makes you truly happy, what and who you enjoy and consider worthwhile. And none of us like to feel heartbroken or disappointed or have our hopes dashed to the ground. But sometimes these events of life are divinely brought to us, and they are what take us through genuflection and introspection. And of course, that's where the real gold of retrograde reveals itself. So throughout her 40-day and night retrograde, we're going to be led into a process of reevaluation around all that we value. And why? Why do we value it? As Venus dances across the sky and disappears with the sun, she is reemerging as the morning star now. And we may find ourselves asking on several occasions, am I having fun yet? Am I happy? And if not, what would help me get there? And often we discover that that thing or that person that we thought we wanted so desperately, you know what? We didn't really want it at all. Because why? Because Divine knows. She really knows. Or maybe we discover that we give more value to something or someone than they actually deserve. So sure, Venus retrograde can disappoint, and maybe we lose something that we've worked so hard for, but this leads to the kick in the pants to choose another path, and one that properly values us. And isn't that what we want? Or our job or living situation stresses us out so we can finally reprioritize our own happiness. How many of you have trouble putting yourself first? Yeah. And maybe we date a real dud who ends up showing us just how much we've been underestimating what we really deserve in a loving partner, and helps us see how we've been sabotaging our needs and desires. So don't be so quick to rail against any misfortune, or what we call misfortune, because Venus doesn't like to be judged on appearances only. And with Venus, there are always blessings. And when Venus is retrograde, the blessings sometimes are in disguise. So take this energy for the next 40 days. Well, it's a little less than 40 days now because that started March 4th. But use this time to reevaluate, reconnect with who you really are, what you came to do. And that's a really great segue into my guest today. My guest today is an amazing woman, and I haven't actually met her, at least not on the physical realm. Her name is Dr. Edwige. It's like French, right? Edwige. But it's spelled Edwige for those of you that, I know some of my listeners, while you're listening, always Google things, look things up, right? And her lifelong dream was to be a singer. She accomplished that with performances at Madison Square Garden and the 1998 Super Bowl. But Dr. Edwige's spiritual journey was equally ascendant, but very different and distinctive from her singing career. It began at the early age of 12, when she was often visited by what she refers to as benevolent beings of light. And during that adventure, they took her flying among the stars, landing on a bridge, diving into the depths of the ocean, and she discerned it was her destiny to be a bridge between heaven and earth. And so I want to bring on Dr. Edwige, and I want to let the listeners know we are going to open up the lines for questions, and I'm going to encourage you to call in this morning. You know, this is an opportunity to talk to someone who is really a fourth dimensional being. I'm saying that, and I'm sure she'll be okay with me saying that. A very highly vibrational being who can help you navigate your life. So if you've got a question, don't be afraid to call in 425-373-5527 or 1-888-298-5569. Dr. Edwige, are you there? It's such a pleasure to have you.
Good morning, Loretta. Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's glad to be here.
So I started in talking about you, and then it just felt like you really should be the one to tell us about you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, sometimes that I mean this a little tongue-in-cheek, like, what are your superpowers, and when did you know you had them?
Yeah, wow. I have to say, it requires some sense of humor to go through this process because, you wind up with a book titled You're Not Crazy, You're Awakening, right, as I did.
Yes.
But, oh, my goodness, if you don't have the ability to laugh and to just step back, you'd go crazy because, you feel like you're superhuman at times. I tell you, when I share some of the experiences that I've had, you'll be like, oh, my God, is that possible? Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. So for me, this began as a little girl growing up in South Jersey on 5 acres in the middle of nowhere in South Jersey. Both my parents found this land. Now, just imagine how divine this is. My mom's from Jamaica, and my father was born and raised in Martinique, the French West Indies, hence my name, Edwige. And they met in New York. They married, lived there for many years, and then something just told them they needed to get out of the city, and so they found land, 5 acres in the middle of nowhere, 2.5 hours away, built a home, and there, us kids, we all moved. So I was about 6 or 7 years old when we moved into that home. I saw ghosts. Now, they built this home, right? I said that. They built it from scratch. Yet, I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and there'd be a lady standing in the hallway, and I'd walk around her to go to the bathroom. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and a picture of flowers would all of a sudden be a picture of a man's face. And I'd describe him the next morning to my mom, and she'd say, oh, that's your great-great-grandfather, William. He must have come in to say hello. I'm like, okay. So I had become accustomed to seeing that. So there was no fear there. Then, fast forward, I'm about 12 years old, and all of a sudden now I'm feeling this energy that's a little more intentional, if you will, than these ghosts just standing there saying hello and riding to church with us and what have you. In the car going to church with us, All Saints Day. How funny is that?
Yeah.
But so at 12 years old, I'm like, okay, this energy is different. I open my eyes, and there is this tall, benevolent being of light. And I say tall, wow, taller than any human. So at least 8 feet, probably taller, very slim, kind of elongated head, but all very ethereal in its energy, almost transparent white, just beautiful, loving energy. Before I knew it, I was up out of my bed. I looked back, and there I was sleeping, and yet I was hovering above me. And out the bedroom windows we went. We went flying into the stars, into the cosmos, looking at creation. I've been to the Elohim. Whoa, confirmation. And by the way, every time a truth comes out and this energy starts to flow, those sounds happen. So not to be afraid, it's just what happens. And I'm used to it.
So I'm going to have you keep talking, but I've got to stop you there. So sounds, did you say sounds?
Yes. Yes.
I'm only stopping you because I hear sounds all the time, and several of my clients have been coming in lately talking about the sounds. They go, Loretta, are you hearing the sounds? And I go, yeah, I am hearing the sounds. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're hearing tones, frequencies, cosmic music, galactic things. I hear, all of that coming in.
Yeah.
So as I was traveling in the stars, we would land on a bridge and dive into the depths of the ocean. And, of course, there I go swimming with the dolphins and the whales. That happened for 6 years with this particular being. showing me that I was this bridge. So move fast forward, you read my bio. I wanted to pursue singing, and that's what I love doing. And I moved out to the West Coast to do that and had amazing gigs, as you read, for years. It was just absolutely fun and just such a blessing to be able to truly experience what you love to do and make a really good living at it. So it was in 2004 that I was en route to a photo shoot that I was actually rear-ended in a car accident. Thank goodness I was in a really good car because I was rear-ended by police. So, that's reinforced steel. And I was parked on the shoulder of the road and he didn't see me.
Oh, goodness.
So rear-ended the car at over 100 miles an hour. I went into the light. As the car spun, I was hovering in the light. My life didn't flash before my eyes. I was just in this beautiful, loving, holding space where a voice said, you are there to bring them into the light. And I said, okay. So upon, I guess, the second impact, I don't know, I was back in the vehicle. Police all around. They said, oh, my goodness, we have to take you to the hospital. You were just rear-ended by one of us. I'm like, oh, completely out of it. But I had to go through that healing process. I actually tore 2 discs in my neck. And going through that process, that began the process of awakening, right?
Mm-hmm.
And think about it. It could have been much worse. So talk about how divine and how blessed I was to just have, torn disc in the neck and bulging disc and so on. But not a drop of blood was shed. Not a drop. And so
that's amazing.
That began the process. And yes, very amazing. So shortly thereafter, I started hearing that there is something you're supposed to be doing. And I would say that to my husband like a broken record. And he said, not to worry, it's coming. All of a sudden, in the wee hours of the night or the morning, a still point of light would come into the room, stop in front of my face, turn to pictures. And when I asked, what is this? They said, testing. And I'm like, oh my, I'm now hearing voices. I'm like, what the heck? 10 days later, a still point of violet light came in. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I could see this coming in with my eyes open because it was so bright. I'm like, whoa, what's this? And I could close my eyes and see it again. This time it stopped in front of my face, turned to what looked like a pineal gland. If you can imagine something that looked like an eye, but it has electrical currents all around it, it began to grow in intensity. And I'm like, oh my gosh, please don't hurt, because I could feel it growing in intensity. And then it ignited, and I shut my eyes really fast as there was an intense burn. When I opened my eyes, now they were able to come into my room. I could see them. They could touch me. They would embrace me. I've had visits from angels, visits from ascended masters, visits from ETs, you name it. Whew.
Wow.
Touching me, taking me to the Council of 12, showing me how to move through wormholes, through gateways, through stargates, all sorts of things, until finally showing me how to travel in a blink of an eye. So all the things started to happen as they were preparing me. Preparing me for September of 2012, when I watched my light body physically descend into me and begin that process, right? All of this leading up to, you have to clear, calibrate, let go. As you know, in this ascension, it's awakening. And you have to transmute the old from past lives, all of the different things, so that you can begin to hold more light, so that you can begin to transform and then transfigure. So September of 2012, my light body began its descension into me, and then that started a whole different ball game. A whole different ball game. It was about 2 years from that process that I wound up on Mount Shasta, walking through all 12 levels of 5D with my eyes open, watching literally the veil come in and split the dimension. Talk about intense, being able to see that. But from my light body moving in, I was then had the ability to clear, to calibrate, to activate codes, keys, way down to the mitochondria of a person's being, bringing in their divine blueprint and template. So that's when the real work began as you go into service, right?
Yes.
I had been doing things because I have a doctorate teaching people how to get off autopilot and all of that, becoming mindful, but it just expanded into a whole life of its own. And then in Mount Shasta in 2014, as I walked through all the 12 levels, wow, that was absolutely profound, Loretta. At one point, I'm standing there, and it was so difficult, and I'm just as honest as I can be. It was so difficult to be able to be in this expanded consciousness and awareness that, okay, in a breath I can be in 3D, and in a breath I'm in 5D, and it looks totally different. I mean, you can see in through the leaves of the trees. You were one with everything. You could see this energy, this golden, like glittery energy coming off of everything. You could see through everything and know it intimately. It was just like you were one with it. Fascinating. And at one point, I'm like, oh my, okay, baby steps, baby steps. And so the two ladies that I was with, they're like, okay, when you need to get back out the vehicle and anchor and ground and do whatever needs to happen, let us know. And then we'd get back into the vehicle and drive a little bit further up the mountain. So at one point, I'm standing there, and now she has her hand on my shoulder. I can't even feel it, right? Because she's not in 3D. I mean, she's not in 5D. She's in 3D. So even though she says her hand's on me, she sounds like she's miles and miles and miles away. But she's helping to keep me anchored so I don't completely leave.
Right. Yeah.
So all of a sudden I start to say, can I say the Lord's Prayer? She's like, of course. So I begin to say it, and it gets faster and faster and faster off my tongue until literally it flies off my tongue into the heavens. And one by one, I watch the rays of God descend into me. And so understanding how important mastery and understanding what these rays of God represent, this is all a part of that process of awakening and of ascension. You must understand the principles behind the rays, right? The colors and all of that stuff, fine, but the principles behind the rays. Like today is green. Well, that's healing, that's abundance. So understanding and working on those principles to truly get it. So that happened at that particular juncture. Got back into the vehicle, drove a little more, needed to get out the vehicle, and now, Loretta, as I stood there, this amazingly beautiful kingdom appeared. It looked like, well, the Emerald City. It was just this magnificent kingdom where the masters are. All of a sudden, there wasn't a forest. It was this kingdom with a circular golden path. And all I could say was, wow.
I'm going to stop you right there. It's a cliffhanger, but we need to take a station break. And I want the listeners, I'm on the edge of my seat, you know. My guest today, this is Loretta Brown, The Loretta Brown Show. And my guest today is Dr. Edwige. She's a light body mentor, a healer, a speaker, and an author of You're Not Crazy, Your Awakening, which I can so relate to the title of that book. We are going to open the lines so you can call in 425-373-5527 or 1-888-298-5569. And you want to call in and ask this amazing woman some questions. I'm on the edge of my seat. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Loretta Brown Show. You know, sometimes you try to say something and I don't know what's coming out, right? My guest today is Dr. Edwige, a fascinating woman, light body mentor, healer, author of You're Not Crazy, Your Awakening. And I have to just, before the break and during the break, you know, we talk during the break and we get, you know, more information. That's what I do for my own selfish, spiritually greedy, you know, is the way it is. But this is really a challenging path that we're on for ascension. And it's not easily defined. So let's go ahead. Let's take a caller, and then we'll get back into the meat of the program.
And we'll take Stacy calling in from Edmonds. Hello, Stacy.
Hello. Gosh, thank you, ladies. I'm so excited.
I'm happy to have you on the live radio, Stacy. How are you?
Myself as well. I'm all right. Thank you for asking. How are you this morning? You guys sound Criterion, ready to go.
Well, I think we're entering another dimension. We're trying to anyway.
Cheers to that.
What can we do for you?
Well, I'm calling about my husband's health. He's been really challenged in that arena over the last year. And I'm wondering if there's any words of wisdom about his course. He's going the allopathic, the whole Western medicine route, and it's very traumatizing, very painful. And I'm wondering if there's any information that comes through.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, honestly, I'm not a medical intuitive, but as soon as you started speaking about him, my body started to move. Ooh, confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm feeling is that there's some resistance somewhere deep down. There's some core issues and beliefs that he has about himself and his unworthiness that needs to be addressed and cleared. Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Been working on that.
Well, you can't work on it for him, right?
Right.
He has to address it himself. And there's something that he's, ashamed of that happened perhaps as a child that is hard for him to talk about. You know, he's a guy, right? But the thing is, the patriarchal energy has ended. So he needs to be able to let that go, and he needs to be able to balance the divine masculine with the divine feminine within himself. And that's where he's struggling because he's not able to do that. Whoa, confirmation. There we go.
Okay.
Well, and he's super intuitive. I believe he's been that way all of his life. And I just think that's been set aside for a number of years because he has been very responsible for so many people. And so, okay, well, very good. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm going
to
add 2 cents to that, Stacy, my 2 cents, because I can feel it going from the throat down to the center of his belly, down to the core. And one of the things that came through real fast for me when you asked the question was that, we always have to take a look at the underlying issues. You know, when we have health issues, that's at the physical level, but we want to go deeper. And I think that's what Dr. Edwige is talking about is the emotionality or sometimes our feelings and emotions are navigational tools. Like they help us go deeper for that self-introspection, that examination of the self of like, what am I feeling and what is really going on and what do I really need to let this go, and healing at that deep level.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that, Loretta and Dr. Edwige. I'm enjoying listening to the show, and I'll enjoy the rest of it. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Yeah.
You too.
And for And for those that want to call in, the number is 425-373-5527 or 1-888-298-5569, and the lines are open. So go ahead, Dr. Edwige. I cut you off inadvertently. Mm-hmm.
No, that's fine. And that's such an interesting thing. And that's where I think during the break we were talking about, quite honestly, this describes that. This process of ascension, of awakening, really is understanding yourself because you are becoming the master, right? Mm-hmm. And what are you becoming a master of? Well, you have to go through these initiations. And so you have to learn to become the master of the physicality and all that is entailed with that. And then moving to the other initiations of the emotional body and the mental body and understanding that you are not your thoughts, your emotions, but they're showing you something, and begin to observe and understand and get what it is that you're trying to get from it, learn from it, expand from it. Because everything is about bringing you back into harmony, back into balance. And when you're not in harmony or balance, then you create dis-ease, right?
Yeah.
So you have to stop pushing against and start to get into that stream and go with the flow. Go with the flow.
Yeah, go with the flow. And we talked a little bit during the break about what is ascension. And a lot of people, we live in Western society where we have, instant everything and, technology that gives us more instant everything. And what is ascension? What's your explanation of that? And how do we get there?
Beautiful question. So quite honestly, ascension is you being able to reconnect with all of those higher aspects of yourself. So your God spark, that divine piece of God that is you, Some call it the I am, some call it the monad. But that divine spark and all of your hierarchy, because below that you have your oversouls, right, your higher self, all of these different aspects of you, even your soul, all of these aspects are hovering above you, way up. There's so many different levels, 325 levels to God consciousness, all of these levels of you. And through all of these incarnations of lack, of fear, of guilt, of shame, of pain, of doubt, that we've taken on and mastered, and now we believe that to be who we are, right? All of that stuff. And in my 6th chapter of my book, I say getting rid of the gunk. All of that stuff creates those blocks in that auric field around you so that you are no longer in the flow. And you have this false program. And through religions and all of these dogmas, you believe yourself to be a cast out and to be a sinner, and that you have to earn your way. No, you have to remember that you are divine and begin to clear all of that old programming so that you can begin to hold more light. So it's all about you being able to sustain higher light frequencies. And it's very electrical. Let me tell you, there are times when I feel like I was electrocuted. That's how strong and powerful the currents are coming in. But you in the physical, and that's why the first initiation is the physical, you must take care of that body and be able to begin to hold that light in. So as you're doing that and clearing, letting go, whatever past life, incarnation, on planet, off planet, doesn't matter, from childhood, none of it matters. You have to clear it, let it go, so that you can begin to hold more light, so that you can begin to transform. Now your DNA gets to get turned on, neurons rewired, your brain's coming back into balance, the left and right side, and you're feeling very electrical at this point where you pulse and you vibrate and you see colors when you close your eyes. All sorts of amazing things happen for me that you will begin to experience if you're not already there. And then you're holding more light somewhere around, as you go through all of these initiations. Again, it's about being able to sustain that light. By the time you get to about 80% light, now higher aspects of your light body are ready to begin the descension into you. So you've made it through the 4th initiation, which is the sweet surrender, to the 5th, where you're more light, able to hold it, and now you start the merger, your soul merger, your higher self merger. All of these different aspects begin to merge right into physicality. As you move into the 6th, now your I am, because your light body is in, now your I am will begin its descension into you. And each layer is somewhere, for me, it took about 2 years in between each thing. So that you know that as well. So there's no fast track here.
Yeah, I really like what you said. I don't mean to interrupt, but I like what you said, because this time frame, we don't know the time frame for sure, but yeah, it is not an instant process, right?
So it's diligent. It's diligence. It's constant being mindful of who you are as this divine being. Every day I invite, I allow, and I anchor you, my highest sovereign self, into my thoughts, my words, my meditations, my creations, and I bless this day with love. Every day when I have a client, I teach them how to, on their third eye, see a beautiful golden path laid out in front of them. See your higher self on that path, and now you take a step onto that path. All your stuff that's in the way, let's begin to clear it bit by bit off your path, so more of that, who you are, your purpose, can begin to be revealed to you. So it's a beautiful process, but you have to stay true to the process, And I'll tell you just how particular and strict this process is. Gosh, back in 2011, my husband and I had an alkaline water store health center. And as I'm pulling up to it one morning, I get a flat tire, and I let that flat tire bother me. He was actually driving out of town. He turned around to come and change the tire instead of me just asking someone else to change it. Don't know what I was thinking, but, we get into our stuff. At any rate, so he changed the tire, and we made it to his trip to L.A., and all is fine and just as it's supposed to be. In the wee hours of the morning, and back then it was 413 for me. That was my power number. That's my birthday, April 13th. And that's the time they would always wake me up in the morning to come in and bring me someplace to show me something, until I started saying the 111, right? I was the 413. And now it's all the sequence of numbers, 333, 555, you name it, I see them. Anyway, back then it was 413. So all of a sudden I hear an outside voice say, disconnect from an uneven temper. Well, I just jumped up. I'm like, who said that? because I'm home alone, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the voice says it again, disconnect from an uneven temper. And I said, oh, the way I behaved earlier today over a flat tire. And I said, okay, let me write this down because I'm not going to remember it, and I don't speak that way.
Right.
And then the voice said, love is all there is. So you see, every time you go into this anxiety, every time you have a finger pointing at someone and you think you can do it better than them, and you have a judgment on what's going on in the world and why is the world going to, you know what, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of these judgments, all that does is take you outside the space of a balanced heart, and you cannot serve the whole from that space.
Right. That's right.
So if you want to be the change that you've been waiting for, learn to get into your heart, learn to be the detached observer, and send it love, knowing that there must be a master plan. For all the dark that's out there, there must be the light. And all that has been done in the dark must come to light. And that, dear ones, is what's taking place.
Wow.
So stop attaching yourself to the story of what you think is, and that this looks awful, and why would he be in this office, and why is this going on, and all your rights being taken. Get back into your heart. The warrior, what energies are in now this year? That fire rooster, to stand silently in your power, to be the light that you are being called to be the warrior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? That's what that energy is all about.
Wow.
That peaceful warrior who says yes to the light and no to everything else that's an illusion. This is no longer my truth. And as long as you begin to not hold on to that false programming that they shove down your throat every time you watch a program on TV, stop watching those things that do not support you. And begin to be drawn to the light. It's before you speak, is that serving that person? Is that serving me? Because what you say to another comes back to you. Am I uplifting them? Am I supporting them? Am I encouraging them through the words that I choose to speak? For the word is the will.
Yeah. So I am just sitting here going, you know, Dr. Edwige, we have such a similar message, and it's really kind of wonderful for me. I have to tell you, too, that my number was 414 because my birthday is April 14th. And then it isn't that funny? And then, so we got to talk more. I love what you're saying, especially in these trying times. We need to stay in the light. Stay in the light.
Yes.
Let's take a caller, Benny.
Mari from Renton. Hello, Mari.
Hello, Benny. Hello, ladies. Good morning.
Good morning, Mari.
Good morning.
Thanks for holding, and thanks for calling in. What can we do for you?
Yeah, thanks so much. Well, actually, what you've been saying kind of speaks to the question, but I have been experiencing a lot of like fog, and sort of I feel like I'm surrounded by like thick soup sometimes, and I'm trying to work through it. I want to be a blessing to the world, but I feel like I'm kind of stuck in this mire sometimes. And if you have any input on that, I would be grateful, or any insight on that.
You know, that's really a part of the process. And so as we're in these stages, let's just say the first stage, right, the letting go, the transmuting, it feels like a pendulum swinging back and forth. And there are days when you clear stuff and you feel really, really good. And then something else is going to pop up because it's letting you know, here, address it, let it go. And then that pulls you right back. And so it's perfect that you actually consciously are aware of how it's causing you to feel, because that emotion wants you to know, okay, it's just something that needs to come up to be cleared. So address it. Don't try to hide it. Don't try to hide from it. Just allow it to come up, you see? And as you allow it to come up without resistance, it can come up easier. I got it. This is where I experienced this. Maybe it was from childhood. There's something coming up for you. There we go. Let it go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Powerful.
I could feel that in my first chakra. I don't know what that was, but
Yeah. I felt it. It's gone. Whoa. Yeah. See,
you.
okay. I'm turning on. Okay. So let's just breathe for a moment. Breathe in that divine light that you are, that perfection. Let's bring in that golden white light, that Mahatma energy, which is the highest frequency. And we're going to bring it down through your crown and all the way down to your roots. Machikada, inahishikada, ikotoropapuku nishikikada, inahishikada, matoropapuku nishikikada, ikotoropapuku ishikada, imatoropapuku nishikikada, ikotoropapu nishikikada, ikano ishikada. You have value, you have worth. See it in yourself, dear one. Nakotoropapuku nishikikada, ikatana matoropapuku nishikikada. Ah, there we go.
Wow.
And breathe.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
That's beautiful.
You're welcome.
That's incredible. I could really feel that. Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Blessings.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thanks for calling in, Marie.
Yeah, thank you so much. God bless you.
Yeah.
God bless you.
And for Marie and everybody listening, you know, Dr. Edwige works with people. Obviously, she's very, very gifted. And you can find out more about her and make appointments at Dr. Edwige. I'm going to spell it. Her last name is Edwige, so dredwige.com. And once again, she's the author of You're Not Crazy, You're Awakening, which to me is such a comfort, you know. But, you know, as you could tell, and thank you so much for doing that on the air. I just love that. Things come through her. She's working at a level that is a little hard to define. It's very vibrational, and it will change you. It will help you. So, you know, don't shy away from giving her a call. We also have another caller, Benny.
Yes, Ann from Eastern Washington. Hello, Ann.
Hi, ladies. Thank you so much. Just even the last couple of questions were so fabulous to what I'd like to speak about today. And it's kind of the same thing. I live away from an urban area where I'm in the midst of populations, but this is all new information to many of them. And I know that it's my role out here, and the work that I do is just be this light and bring the information out. And some days I get incredibly discouraged because I feel very alone, and it's so new, it's shocking, and I run back home and recoup in my safe little zone. But do you sense any timing? Is it me, or is it a larger collective shift that will happen that will allow this work to be much more easy in farther reaches away from, you know, urban areas where this is probably happening more quickly?
Yeah, I get that. You know, and that's a wonderful question. The reality of it is you're the quiet in the middle of the storm, are you not?
I definitely feel that way, and I definitely feel that it's my work to be out here doing this, but there are days when it just doesn't feel received or easy.
And that's okay, because that's the contract that you made. Whoa, there you go. There with that truth. And so what it is, you know, I've had friends who have gone, oh my gosh, to places like Central America and walked the land for a year. You know, it wasn't easy, but he made it through. You just have to call on, again, that highest aspect of yourself to give you that strength, because you're never alone. You have your team, you have your guides, and it's like, so you have to find more joy in it. And it's not about how they receive it, it's about how you deliver, right? So all you can do is your half of the job, or the coin, if you will. And so I go out and I'm going to be the light, I'm going to be love, and I'm going to speak in that way of encouragement and upliftment. How they choose to receive it this day is how they choose to receive it. Universe, send me those of like mind who are ready to receive. Are you sending out and asking that? Send me someone who's ready to receive it. Thank you. And watch what happens.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I understand that, because a lot of times I stay home. But that's okay, right? Because my vibration frequency is so beyond. I mean, I've recently traveled to beyond 130 dimensions up, okay? Yeah. And bringing back this. And so for me, when I go out, it's always on, so it's working and clearing and calibrating. So a wonderful thing to do is to see you at the end of your meditation, your prayer in the morning, in a beautiful golden sphere of energy. And how big, doesn't matter, just see it all around you, and this energy goes out before you ever get there. So now start to program that field around you with love, with the violet flame, to begin to transmute their things before you ever get there, so that your energy is reaching and is able to clear and make a path for you, first of all, but to clear so that those coming into that energy are already sort of ready to receive you when you get there in the physical. You see? So that's something as light workers you can do every day. Put yourself in that field, bless that energy, bring it in, program it to go out before you.
Thank you so much.
And I'm
You're
also
welcome.
hearing in that the use of the light body, or the use of the energy vibration, to remember that we're more than our physical bodies.
Oh, yes.
Way more. So, and we're not doing this alone. I realize you're over there in a rural area, but you're not alone. You're never alone. There's a lot of helpers. So,
I have one question. I work for an organization where I do this, and I am the light within the organization taking this out, and I'm really wondering if I need to separate myself from that organization and do it on my own, or if it's best for me to stay within that and, again, be transformative both within them and with what I'm taking out.
Yeah, I'm
It
sitting
feels
with
like for now.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Loretta.
No, go ahead. I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
At the same time. Go ahead, Dr.
Okay.
Edwige.
Well, what I felt was, for now, it's the place for you to be and to work through it. I don't know if that's what you got, but you're going to know when it's time for you to step out on your own. I'm not feeling that it's just the right time, because you actually need to do a little bit more of internal work for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the same thing. That's why I was laughing. We started to say the same thing. And from the same perspective, but slightly different, which is that there's a little bit of a, how do I say this? You're not quite ready to move out because you do still have work to do on yourself, but there's also a slight tweaking that your guides want, which is, don't feel like you have to carry these people that you're with. You don't need to carry them.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see, because there's that. You just where you're at, because this is the best place for you to be, and you're just not quite ready to step out on your own, and you will absolutely know when it is the right time.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for calling in. There's so many people that come to me, Dr. Edwige, and I had a person recently come, and she said, my heart is pulling me. I feel like I have to just save the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, can you comment on that? Because I could comment on that a lot too.
So, and that's a really interesting thing. I'll tell you. So let me share a story. I remember the first time I went to a shaman. She's now a good friend, and she did a journey on me. And this first journey she did found me in Lemuria. I was a priestess, and I went over to the edge, and I saw that it was sinking. And because who I came in to be, even in that lifetime, right, they put me on a ship with artifacts and sailed me to Lake Titicaca because I was not to die in that sinking. And I fragmented there out of guilt of not being able to, quote unquote, bring enough people and save more people, right? And so we have that little guilt thing going on within us. And the reality of that's a little part ego, a little part whatever. That's not our job. Our job is to be the light, and who it impacts, it's divine. So you can't help those you want to help, and you can't help those who want your help. You can only help those who it's supposed to help.
Right. Exactly. So if we just connect with who we are and what our piece of that is, and let our light shine. When I was little, because I was raised uber Christian. And we used to sing "This Little Light of Mine, I'm Gonna Let It Shine."
Let it shine,
right?
Yes. Let it shine, let it shine,
Shine, let it shine. Yeah, and I used to sing it really loud. So I think we're there where we need to take these things and truly, truly do the work on ourselves to become these beings of light and awaken our spirituality. And what is the importance of that waking spirituality in our present day and age? I mean, we've talked about it, but can you synopse that for us?
Absolutely. So understanding that there has been previous golden ages, this is it. This is that seventh and final golden age that we are now given this amazing opportunity to hear in our physicality to go through it. That's it. So imagine a life where you have pure love and joy and peace and harmony, where you can see through the leaves of the trees and communicate. Oh, my goodness. Where you have all your superhuman powers. By the way, I teleported a couple of months ago. And I bilocated, right? Where you can do those things at will, where there is no more starving and strife, where you don't have any duality of not having enough, but you have immortality, eternal youth and beauty and prosperity and joy, and you are one with the divine, where there is no more separation, where you recognize yourself as being that which you are. That's what it's about. And you have to start someplace, and that's what we're talking about, the process to get you from blaming society, yourself, feeling your guilt, your shame, your pain, your suffering, it manifesting in the physical body, and taking you from that to self-mastery to where you realize you are an ascended being.
Wow, that's beautiful. So this is Loretta Brown. My guest today has been Dr. Edwige. She's a light body mentor, healer, and author of You're Not Crazy, You're Awakening. So I just want to remind you, you can contact her for private sessions. Also, be kind to each other, and please go out there and let your light shine. Be the change that you want to see in the world. Be blessed. Have fun with Venus retrograde. Woohoo! Talk to you next time.